So welcome to Wolsey Hall Oxford Homeschooling Information Webinar. We have families joining us from all around the globe today, so a big welcome to you all, whether it be morning, afternoon or evening. I'm Lynn Stacey, Marketing Manager here at Wolsey Hall, and I'll be acting as your host. We're going to start with just a bit of housekeeping. We will be recording the webinar and we're going to send out links to the recording to you all after the event. So check your inboxes in a few days' time for those. The format for today will be a presentation followed by a question and answer session. You will find the question and answer area where you can type your questions at the bottom of your screens. We would, however, recommend that you wait until the end of the presentation before adding questions to the Q&A, as we expect many of the questions will be covered in the presentation and we won't actually be answering those until after the presentation has started. Please note, we will not be answering any questions that are specific to an individual child today. For these types of questions, please submit an inquiry form from our website and our admissions team will be delighted to help you. We'll be putting up the website address for the inquiry form at the end of the presentation section. So I'm joined here today by a number of colleagues who will be answering questions both in the question and answer area and live in the discussion. I'll do some introductions. We've got Christine Armstrong, Head of Primary, Ruth Young, Head of Secondary, Jo Ryman, one of our tutors and supervisor of courses, and Christina, Tamara and Amber from our admissions team. So without further ado, I'd now like to hand over to Christine and Ruth, who will give a presentation on Wolsey Hall Oxford. Thank you.
Yeah, just checking you can hear me okay before I start. So good morning, everybody. As Lynn said, my name is Christine Armstrong and I'm the Head of Primary. And myself and my colleague Ruth are just going to share some information with you, which may answer some questions that you already have. So we are a Cambridge school. Wolsey Hall is actually one of just 4 Cambridge online schools that exist currently, and our primary school was the first ever Cambridge approved school as well. So we're incredibly proud to be the only Cambridge online primary school at the moment.
So just a little bit of background for you about Wolsey Hall Oxford. We were founded in 1894, primarily as a distance learning college in those days. Obviously, we weren't online at that point, so this was more of a correspondence course that we offered. But we have immense experience in providing students and families with the content necessary for successful home study and homeschooling. We made the move online with our courses a number of years ago, approximately 12 years ago, and therefore are well equipped to deal with the everyday eventualities of online homeschooling. We offer a range of courses for our students and families, starting from age 4 with our lower primary courses, all the way up to age 18 with our AS and A-level courses. As Christine just mentioned, we are a registered online school with Cambridge Assessment International Education, and this means that we are able to support students with their learning to proceed to external qualifications in IGCSE and A-level. We are a worldwide organisation. We have students studying with us in over 125 countries, and our tutors are primarily based in the UK, but we do have some dotted around the world. So again, very well equipped for dealing with different time zones. All of our tutors are UK trained and highly qualified. We have a number of renowned past students, as you may have seen on our website, including President Nelson Mandela, who worked with Wolsey Hall in terms of distance learning courses.
Oh, apologies, going the wrong way. So why do parents choose homeschooling? Obviously, you're all here today to find out a little bit more about Wolsey Hall and what we offer. Well, for some people, it's because traditional schooling doesn't work for them. Homeschooling is an alternative to those that would like to go at their own pace. They would like to use a home environment to facilitate learning, or they are experiencing issues or difficulties in a traditional school setting, and they know that that is not the right environment for their child. Sometimes we have people joining us because they're traveling around the world, or they have careers that mean that there is movement through the years of education, which means it can be disruptive to their children with their education. Something like Wolsey Hall offers that stability, that if you are having to move location from time to time with careers, then you can make sure that there's consistency in the learning that your child has. Sometimes it's the child themselves that needs to focus on other things. They may be sports people, they may be in the creative arts, which means actually they need some flexibility in their learning, and they need their learning to wrap around something else rather than the something else having to wrap around the learning at a very fixed time in a traditional school setting. Some people use Wolsey Hall as a supplementary form of learning, so their children may go to school in a traditional bricks and mortar setting, so in a physical location, but actually they would like to consolidate some of the learning to help their child catch up, or there may be particular subject areas where their child is excelling and they would like the opportunity to extend their child in a home setting to develop their knowledge and understanding further in those subjects. We also have some people that use Wolsey Hall because we are great value for money and we're a very good alternative. In some countries, access to education, if you are looking for a curriculum outside of the local curriculum, can be very costly. And Wolsey Hall provides an opportunity for families in those situations to still ensure that their child is getting a UK and international education.
So why choose Wolsey Hall? We are uniquely placed to help students learn at a pace that suits them. So you may have a child who excels in one particular curriculum area, but potentially has challenges in others. We can offer courses that fit every single child. Our courses are designed to allow students to push themselves, to challenge themselves, to achieve their full potential, with the support of their parents at home in this homeschooling environment. We have a unique partnership with families. We're very proud of the strong support that we have with our student progress managers who oversee a family's experience with Wolsey Hall and provides that pastoral level of support as perhaps a form tutor would in a school. The student progress manager is always there for families to understand their individual circumstances, to help them decide on what pathway, what courses, how to approach a student's studies, and to provide that support. Then we also have our tutor team, who, as I referenced earlier, are highly qualified and able to support every child achieve their full potential in the subjects that they are studying. Many of our tutors are experienced examiners, and therefore they are able to guide students in the external exam years in IGCSE, AS and A-level. As a homeschooling organisation, we're often asked, how do we support students develop outside of the academic sphere? And we are really proud of how we are working with our families and our students to provide social opportunities and events to connect students with each other. We have dedicated community websites for students across both primary and secondary, which offer a different experience to the academic courses. These community sites have different clubs that students can join in, and clubs such as computing or cookery, and students are able to share their passions with each other on the community website. We also run competitions every month. We have a virtual library, and we also provide updates on students' achievements outside of Wolsey Hall and their courses as well. Our mission is to provide high quality education at a low cost, so as many families worldwide can access quality courses as possible. So we do represent excellent value for money in the education market.
So moving on from that, this is just an overview of the different years in Wolsey Hall and the learning journey for your child, should they be joining us right at the beginning of their journey through to the end of their journey. So we have different phases of school. So we start with lower primary. Lower primary is for years 1 and 2. And this is typically children around 4 to 7 years of age. Then we move into our upper primary phase, and upper primary is our years 3, 4, 5 and 6. And this is typically for children aged 7 to 11. And at that point, they move on to our secondary school. And our lower secondary year groups are years 7, 8 and 9. And these are typically for children age 11 through to 14. However, I would say as well that some people choose to follow the structured pathway in that they would like the age appropriate year group for their child. Some people actually work outside of the normal year groups for their children because their child is either excelling in a particular subject, so they may be actually doing a year group that's higher than they would in a traditional school, or it might be that they actually want to consolidate and they want to actually fill some gaps that they may have in their learning, so they may choose to do a subject that actually is below the year group they would be doing in a traditional school. The beauty of Wolsey Hall is that you can wrap that education around the needs of your child rather than having to conform to the system that's in place as it would be in a traditional school.
After lower secondary, students move on to GCSE or IGCSE. Just to clarify, the I in IGCSE just stands for International GCSEs that we offer through the Cambridge Board. We do have a qualification which is GCSE UK Psychology, which is through EdXL, another exam board. GCSE is where students start to specialise after having had a breadth of study in lower secondary, and they tend to follow a core curriculum of English, Maths and Science, and then some optional subjects on top to allow them to develop their passions further. These courses we recommend are studied over 18 months to 2 years. There is flexibility again within Wolsey Hall in terms of the timeline, but the courses are designed to take that amount of time in a standard year. After GCSEs, this is the first point of external exams. So students would take external exams as private candidates through exam centres. And when they've received their GCSE or IGCSE results, they would move into the A-level section of the school. This is further specialised education for our students, and students tend to take on average between 3 to 4 AS and A levels. Again, these courses are designed to be studied over 2 years. The first year primarily on AS level and the second year on A level. These are the qualifications that students will need if they are applying to higher education institutions around the globe. I can reassure you all today that for GCSE and A-level qualifications, these are recognised worldwide as qualifications for higher education. And at that point, this is when our alumni leave Wolsey Hall looking to move on to university or colleges. As we've mentioned before, our school is Cambridge accredited, so our courses are a blend of the Cambridge curriculum and the English national curriculum to make sure that our students are covering all the content required to develop lifelong learners with a broad subject knowledge.
So in terms of what we offer here at Wolsey Hall, we're often asked what subjects someone's child can do. So in primary, we obviously are in the lower primary phase and the upper primary phase as 2 phases of the primary school. And as you can see, there are a breadth of courses that children can choose from. We also are really pleased to announce that we also have a pre-year 1 course coming. So for those children in the 3 to 4 years of age bracket, we are currently developing a maths course and an English course for that age range, so that they have a precursor to moving into year 1 of the primary school as well. Most of our students that join us tend to take at least 2 core subjects. And so by core subjects, I mean those that are considered the most important subjects from an academic point of view. So those would be English, maths and science. So at primary level, we normally would receive children whose parents have opted for 2 of those core subjects, if not all 3 of them. And then they may supplement those with some of the other subjects like art or computing, or skills for life to develop those self-development skills. But we as a school do not dictate which courses you must take. So we advise, but if you came to us and said, well, we'd only like to do art with Wolsey Hall, we have no issue with that whatsoever. If you are finding other learning pathways for those core subjects, then we are more than happy to facilitate those supplementary subjects. So moving on to secondary.
So in secondary, I'm not going to read through all of the subjects for you here, but you can see we have a very broad subject range on offer, and we are constantly looking to add and develop our subjects that we do offer. As Christine mentioned there, it is completely possible for Wolsey Hall to be a supplement to a mainstream school education or to alternative pathways that you are studying. Again, in lower secondary, we do advise that students study the core subjects, be that with Wolsey Hall or outside, to make sure that they have that breadth, but we are flexible in terms of what can be offered. We're very proud of the range of subjects that we offer, and we do endeavour to have an international aspect to our courses where appropriate. For example, we offer both history and international history in lower secondary to allow students around the world to develop their history knowledge, perhaps in areas that are more relevant to them. In IGCSE, we offer a range of subjects to cover all abilities for students, so that students can study the level of English that is most appropriate for them, the level of maths and the level of science. At AS and AL, where students further specialise, again, there are many different options for students there, allowing students to prepare themselves for whatever higher education pathway they wish to study.
Okay, so external examinations, I'm going to pass this one to Ruth just to talk through.
So in terms of external examinations, our courses prepare students to take their IGCSEs and A-level courses at the end in an exam centre local to them. One thing that it is important to note is that students of Wolsey Hall will enter for their external exams as private candidates in local examination centres. We will support you to signpost you to local examination centres and to help you liaise with them. And we do recommend that parents, before enrolling with Wolsey Hall, have looked into the availability of local examination centres. It's quite easy to find local examination centres, and like I said, once you're enrolled, we're able to provide you with lists and so on. But it is really important that that is taken on board. One, you are entering as a private candidate, you would sit the external exams as normal at these exam centres and receive your results through those exam centres. As I mentioned, the courses that we offer are recognised worldwide by universities and employers as qualifications.
So in terms of our course structure, we're often asked how it works. So we are a primary school and a secondary school with a slightly different approach. So for those children that are in our primary school, then we very much say that it is a parent-led experience at home. So all of the lessons that you need, the resources you need to facilitate the learning at home is provided to you using our online learning platform, but it very much does need parental support and parental guidance to work through the lessons with your child. When you move to secondary school, then it is more student-led. However, there is some parental support still needed. As children move through the secondary school, they grow in independence and they start to work more independently on the tasks and activities and through lessons themselves. But it does just need some parental support, or adult support. In all of these cases, we're using the word parent to mean a responsible adult at home. So it may be that in some cases you have tutors working with your children. It might be that in some cases there is another member of the family who takes on that key role to support a child in the home learning environment.
So just a little bit of additional information about how our courses work. The beauty of Wolsey Hall is that you can enroll at any point during the year. You do not have a fixed start date like a mainstream school. So you can start your course at the time of the year that is most appropriate to you. And you can choose how many subjects to enroll on as you set out. And then if you decide later to add more subjects, that is totally possible. You don't have to wait until the subsequent academic year to add additional subjects. So we do offer ultimate flexibility. We do not have any online lessons to attend, which again helps parents with the flexibility of making their timetable work for them. Tutor support is available using our online learning system Canvas, but there are no scheduled timetabled lessons. So it really does offer families the option to fit studies in around their life and students' passions for other activities as well. We offer a mixture of online and offline learning with our courses, which means that students, if they have a particular area that they wish to develop, they can do that alongside our courses that we offer.
Okay, so in terms of our courses and what they include, so there are course books that are attached to a number of our courses to supplement the learning that's taking place at home. And if you enroll onto a course, then our book department send those books out to you, ready for you to start your study. As I mentioned, we have an online learning platform, which is called Canvas, and there is a wealth of resources on there. So it has all of the lesson plans needed to follow. It has the resources, it has links to external sites, it has your subscription details to all of the supplementary sites that we are signed up to support the learning at home. Your child will complete assignments at regular intervals on the course. So an assignment in primary terms, an assignment really is what we call a piece of work that's done at home as independently as possible, but perhaps with a little bit of parent support as needed. And then this assignment is then submitted to your tutor using the online learning platform, and your tutor marks that assignment and provides some feedback, areas of strength and next steps in learning. And we do this both at primary level and at secondary level. And this is great for you as parents and for your children, because they are getting some expert feedback from qualified teachers as to how they are getting on and how they are progressing in all of their different subject areas. We also have online support. So you're able to email using our platform a tutor if you're a little bit stuck, or you just need a little bit of additional help. And we also at various points on the course have online meetings with you as the family. So in primary, it's very much a parent call with the child with you. And in secondary, it's the same until they reach that age where they can be more independent in those tasks. And so you do have a number of opportunities to have face-to-face conversations with Wolsey Hall as well. And as Ruth mentioned earlier, one of your key personnel at Wolsey Hall is your student progress manager. And your student progress manager is overseeing all of the studies that your child is undertaking. So whereas you may have a tutor in science, you may have a tutor in maths, you may have a tutor in English, your student progress manager is the key point of contact and is also watching and monitoring the progress that your child is making across all of their subjects to make sure they're getting a rounded education and that they are on track.
So as Christine was just talking about the student progress managers, they are there to monitor and support throughout all the courses. On enrolment, every family is assigned a student progress manager. I'll talk more about the tutors in this section. So the tutors are there as the academic support, and they are the go-to person when there are queries with courses. When we provide feedback on assignments, our tutors provide detailed feedback on the actual work. And then in addition to this, they provide areas of strength for students, so students can focus on where they have achieved well, what their areas of strength are, where they are most confident, whilst at the same time providing students and families with the next steps for them to progress in their learning further. This is an essential part of our philosophy. Students learn best when they know what steps to take. So these are broken down into age-appropriate ways in both primary and secondary, so that families and students are very clear on what needs to happen in terms of learning to progress and achieve the best. Also in feedbacks, tutors provide not only written feedback, they also provide sometimes audio and video feedback to students to help them. For example, if you're studying a modern foreign languages course with us, a tutor will often provide audio feedback to support with pronunciation. Tutors in all phases of the school offer virtual meetings at points of each course dependent on phase. Some of those will be at the beginning, some will be to review progress halfway through, and some will be at the end to support them to move on to what comes next. What is the next level to move on to? And the tutors are always on hand via email to answer any questions that any student or family has about learning.
Okay, so just to tell you a little bit about the additional support that we have at Wolsey Hall for our families as well. So as Ruth mentioned, there are some face-to-face calls that take place. So there is a welcome call at the beginning with your student progress manager so that you get to know them a little bit, and you can talk through your needs and your wants while you're with Wolsey Hall. And you also have a call from tutors to say hello and introduce themselves as well. There is a student liaison manager that we have, and the student liaison manager is able to reach out and put you in touch with other families who are part of Wolsey Hall that may be in your geographical location, they might be in the same city, they might be in the same region, they might be in the same country, so that you have the opportunity to perhaps connect with and get some first-hand experience from another family who's already part of Wolsey Hall. We have reports that we issue to families at various points, and these are really useful for families to have as evidence of study. So if you're moving back into a traditional school setting at any point, or you need to show to your governmental body that your child is studying and that is happening, then we have reports that we can give to you to help facilitate that part of things. And really importantly, we have a learning support service here at Wolsey Hall as well, and they cover both learning support and well-being. And that department is instrumental for a number of our families who have children with special needs or additional needs, or they might need some support in the area of well-being, especially for those older students who are pre-exam. That can often be a time when actually some well-being and some mental health support is really very valuable. So we do have, and you can have a look on our website, and there is more information about learning support and the range of services that they can provide.
We also have exams officers, as I mentioned before, to support families with their private candidate entries. We have 2 exams officers at Wolsey Hall, one for UK inquiries for UK students and one for international students. They are there on hand to help. Also, with the exams officers, our learning support service works closely with them to support parents with access arrangements for exams. And again, that is a service that you will see if you have a look on our website. We also have an additional department, which is university and guidance support. We are able to support students from the very moment that they start thinking about universities. That might be as young as lower secondary in year 7 or year 8. It might be a little bit later on, but we are there to help them every single step of the way, whether they're considering career options, subject choices, to make sure they are making the right course choices for them and their future career path. The university and guidance support also offers other additional services which don't encompass every single step of the way. So it may be that a family says, we're quite happy with our chosen pathway, we know which courses we want to study, but we need a reference for university applications. But at Wolsey Hall, we can facilitate that. We offer both UCAS support, so UK applications, and also international support as well, because internationally universities often have varying requirements, and our university guidance officer is extremely experienced with both UK and international applications and is there ready to help. We do also offer a transcript service as well, again, possibly more relevant for overseas students when applying to university, but that would be a formally recognised document for university entry overseas.
Oh, I'm sorry, it went the wrong way. I apologise. Okay, so just say staying connected. We've mentioned this already, but there are a number of ways that we try and help families stay connected. We have a community website for both primary and secondary, which has got amazing clubs on there. We run competitions, we share student success. There's a student forum for our secondary students. So it really is a lovely way to connect and to actually supplement like the learning with other things of interest and hobbies. We have regular competitions, as I mentioned. We've got a virtual library, which is a place where you can go and you can check out virtual books. And we do have a strong alumni as well. And so those that do leave us, once they have finished their studies, have the option to become part of our alumni and keep in contact. And we, as Wolsey Hall, we love tracking the success and the journeys that our students actually have once they've finished learning with us.
And for parents, we recognise that making the choice to become a homeschooling parent is a big decision, and it's really lovely for homeschooling parents to be able to connect with each other, to share what they've found on their journeys. And you will see many of these stories on our website as well. But we also have parent Facebook groups, and these are wonderful opportunities for parents to see what's going on at Wolsey Hall and to connect with each other. We also have monthly primary newsletters, which tells you all about the wonderful things that are going on in the primary sector in terms of the course development, and also sharing of student success stories and tips on homeschooling in general. In secondary, we have monthly e-shots to parents, sharing key points of news with families as well. Those encompass everything from course updates to student successes. I'll pass back now to Lynn.
So many thanks, Christine and Ruth. Hopefully that's given a really good overview of Wolsey Hall and all the courses and support that we offer. We're now going to move into our question and answer section. So please feel free to now ask any questions that you may have by typing them into the Q&A section that you'll find at the bottom of your screen. If you hover down the bottom, you'll see Q&A pop up. You'll be able to type things in there. We'll endeavour to answer as many questions as possible in the time available, either by typing back to you in the Q&A or verbally. We'll introduce some questions into the chat, into the discussions as well. However, if there are any questions you still have after the event, then please send an inquiry form via our website, and you'll see the website address coming on the screen very shortly. We also have a number of questions submitted during the registration process, and we'll also try to cover some of these during the discussion as well. I'll be asking my colleagues who are manning the Q&A to introduce some of your submitted questions into the main discussions as well. Okay, so I think to start with, while you're all typing, I see some busy typing going on already. I'm going to start with one of the pre-submitted questions that you sent in when you registered. Okay, so the first one was, can you enter the school with a single course the first year and gradually expand?
I can take this one. Yes, absolutely. Some students join Wolsey Hall and they may be taking a whole breadth of courses and subjects with us. And some people join Wolsey Hall and they just start off with one course, or it might be that they're just supplementing some other form of learning elsewhere. So absolutely, yes, you can join Wolsey Hall with one course, and as you are ready or as you would like to, you can add additional courses or additional subjects as you are with us.
Okay, thank you, Christine. And I'll ask another one of the pre-submitted questions while we're just waiting for more questions to pop in. Is it 5 days a week attendance or flexible?
I'll take that one. It's completely flexible. I'm hoping after the presentation, Christine and I have both managed to convey to you all how flexible Wolsey Hall is. You can fit your studies, your child's studies, around your life and your commitments. So there is guidance given as to the number of hours per week per subject, but you can fit them in as you wish. So there is no prerequisite number of days for attendance at all.
Thank you, Ruth. Panelists, is there any questions that you'd like to introduce into the main discussions? Okay. I think there was a good one that I saw that was, is there assessment prior to enrolment?
Oh, that's a good one. So I can take that for primary, and then Ruth can answer for secondary. So at primary level, there's two things that happen that are quite key to helping a family know which level to start at when their child joins us. So the first one is, as part of the enrolment process and the application process, a family would meet with one of our supervisor of courses. I've got Joe here today, and there's also Becky as well. And that conversation is actually quite key in helping the family to decide which level is right as the starting point for their child. Both Joe and Becky are fully qualified teachers and have expertise in their phases of primary. And between that conversation and then the second thing, which is a pre-entry checklist. So for our courses, we send out a checklist of things that your child should be able to do before starting on the course. And we suggest that they should be able to do all of these things, or at least 70 to 80% of those things on the checklist, to give them a good starting point when they begin their Wolsey Hall journey.
So just following on into secondary, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we are worldwide in terms of where our students are located, and we do find that students are coming with different curriculum backgrounds into the secondary school from primary level. So typically what we do is we ask parents to provide evidence of previous school studies if they have been in a mainstream environment, or details of the homeschooling curriculum that they may have been following previously. If we are unable to judge from this evidence the level that we expect students to be, we do have pre-tests that are available for students to take. These are not entrance exams though. They are simply a way of us seeing what level would best suit each student that comes to us. Then we are able to advise on the best course placements. At the heart of what we stand for at Wolsey Hall is trying to make sure that every child is on the correct course. It is not a judgment call in terms of what fits them. It is simply making sure that they have access to the materials that is appropriate to their developmental level, especially in secondary, because it may be that a student has studied a different curriculum and therefore has some gaps in knowledge that just need filling in, and that is something we can support with. We also have pre-tests like this for IGCSE as well, to enable parents who are coming again from different curriculum backgrounds to see which course suits them best in the key areas of English, maths, science, and also we do have them for modern foreign languages.
And if I can just chip in, Lynn, it wasn't directly this question, but I think it relates. It's just to point out as well that we do have students who may be on a different year depending on the subject as well. So unlike a physical school setting where you belong to a year group and therefore you need to study at that level across all of your subjects, we do have a number of students who may, for example, be taking year 3 English, but they might be taking year 4 or year 5 maths because they have a higher competency skill in mathematics than they currently do in English. So that is another nice thing about Wolsey Hall and its flexibility, is that actually, because it's based on where your child is, if you are finding that they excel in particular areas or they may need to catch up in particular areas, you have that option as well of bridging different year groups as their starting point.
Thanks, Christine. One question I've seen in the question and answer, is there a time frame for taking the IGC exam after you finish the course?
When you enroll upon an IGCSE course with us, you will be informed where that course is valid, because dependent on the subject, the courses that we offer are linked to a specification. So specifications are for different subjects and they run for different periods of time dependent on the subject. So you will always be kept informed. So trying to break it down a little bit more, because I understand that maybe wasn't that clear. English literature, the specification changes on a 2-year cycle generally, which means the texts on the course change and our courses change in line with that. So you would be told on enrolment, okay, you're enrolling on the English literature course, exams must be taken by 2023 in June. If not, that would mean further study would be required in order to take those exams later. So in terms of the time frame, the courses last for 2 years. Taking the IGCSE exam, there is flexibility when that can be taken, but it would have to align with the validity of the course. I hope that helps answer the question. Please don't hesitate to reach out in the Q&A if it doesn't.
Thanks, Ruth. Another question that I've seen pop into the Q&A is, for students wanting to start a course or courses in September, when should we formally enrol and get the ball rolling so that they're ready and set up in time?
Well, I can start with this one. I would say that if you know that this is the pathway that you're taking, then don't wait. We take enrolments all year round and for different starting points in the year as well. So if you already know that actually this is a pathway you're going to take and you're wanting to start those studies in September, then even enrolling now ready for September is no bad thing. In terms of leaving it and further down the line enrolling, I would just point out that September is a particularly popular time of year to start courses. So those times of year like September, January, where in different parts of the world they're key starting points for an academic year, we become incredibly busy with applications, inquiries and enrolments. So the earlier you can do it, the more guarantee you have that you'll be set up and ready for your courses starting in September. But I would say that at the latest, try and make that application in July at the latest. Admissions might be able to give you a little bit more guidance and advice than perhaps what I have just said here, because they are the experts. Tamara, Christina, I know everyone's on mute at the moment, I think, and answering questions, but I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Thanks, Christine. Sorry, we're busy typing away quite frantically. Could you please repeat the question? What was that? Sorry.
I can jump in here, Christine. It's okay. So we would recommend that you certainly make an inquiry as early as possible, because we can discuss courses, the types of level your child might need. But what we won't do is process your application or take your payment for your courses for a September start until June at the earliest. So we will always do that 3 months before a student's start date. But it's always a good idea to have those early discussions about levels and getting any pre-tests done or school reports we might need as early as possible, as Christine said. So you can do all the kind of discussion stuff as early as we can, and then later all you've got to think about is just getting the application form in June, and as Christine said, getting everything ready by July so we can get books sent out to you and allocate tutors and student progress manager, so your child is ready to go in September when they want to start. Okay, thank you.
I've seen one question that also was asked frequently actually in the registration, so I will introduce this one. I think Christine is also perhaps answering there as well, but what level of English is needed? The attendees asking specifically about the IGCSE courses, but I think on the general registration questions it was across the board from primary, perhaps with the parent English as well, up to A level.
Okay.
So if I jump in for primary, and then Ruth maybe can talk a little bit more about secondary, from a primary perspective, well, from a whole school perspective, then obviously the first thing to say that all of our courses and all of our content is using the English language. So there does need to be a level of English that a student and a family has to be able to access and to guide the learning that's taking place. From a primary perspective, then obviously the younger the child, the less English is needed, if that makes sense, because obviously a child who's starting with us at 4 years old, whether they are based here in the UK or they are somewhere else in the world, is still partly developing their English language, even if English is a first language for them rather than an additional language. I think the best way to maybe answer this is to say that at each year group in primary, there is a checklist for English, and so you're able to look through the checklist of expectation for your child to have to start on that course. And also as well, because primary is parent-led, then whoever the adult is at home who's helping to facilitate the learning also needs to have a certain level of English language skill so they can help support that learning at home. If a parent isn't sure whether they or the other adult that will be helping the child has the level required, we do have a small English test that a parent or another adult can take to see if they have the level of English that's needed to be the support to their primary age child. So between the checklist, the conversation with Becky or Joe that I mentioned earlier, and that parent test, between all of those three things, then we can advise on our side whether or not both the student and the adult at home has the level of English required for the course. But I would say don't let that stop you from making an inquiry. Please do go ahead and make an inquiry, and when that inquiry takes place, then part of the process is looking at that and working that out with you.
And then in terms of English in secondary, we offer a variety of English courses in lower secondary and IGCSE, English first language and English second language. We do, if students have studied English in primary and we have evidence of that, it may well be that they are absolutely fine to start with the English first language course, because the course, even though it is English first language, it is designed to develop students' spelling and grammar through the study of different texts, etc. The majority of our students will follow the English first language course. However, for those students for whom English is a second language and perhaps they haven't had exposure to English curriculum in their primary studies, the English second language course is an excellent option. And what we often advise students is that they can start with English second language, complete 2 years of study of English second language to develop their competence in English, and then move on to an English first language course in year 9, thus providing them with the foundation for the IGCSE first language as well. At IGCSE, we offer both pathways again, first language, second language, and also obviously English literature, which sits apart from the English language question. We work closely with our families to make sure that students are aware of the different pathways that will then be available to them later if they follow either English first language or English second language, because certain A-level subjects do have a pre-requirement of English first language GCSE. And these would be our discursive subjects like English language, literature, sociology, psychology, and so on.
Thanks both. So we've got a question here about our exam results. Can I know what the achievement rate of students on online education, and will it ensure that my child can enroll from homeschooling, can enroll in good universities eventually?
Indeed, you can. On our website, you'll see details of our past exam results. We are very proud of them. We've obviously been supporting students recently with university applications. As you may be aware, the UCAS deadline passed in January, and we are starting to hear back about students and the university places. We support students every year with applications to top universities across the globe. So Ivy colleges, also Oxbridge. We've had students in the recent exam results who have achieved places at Oxford and Cambridge, and I know this year is no different at all. So if you visit our website, you'll see further details of a breakdown statistically of the results achieved, but also success stories of individual students in the universities that they are going to. One thing to note here, and this is perhaps a personal passion of mine as well, it isn't only the top ranked universities that we support with here. We support every single child at Wolsey Hall, and we make sure that we are able to give advice on the most appropriate university for them. And we are as proud of students going to no matter what further education pathway that they choose. So you will also find success stories about students who have chosen perhaps more vocational pathways in the future as well.
Thanks, Ruth. Where can I get the textbooks for the course?
I can take that one. So the textbooks for the courses, you have two options. Most people just allow Wolsey Hall to sort that out for them. So you get a textbook allocated for any course that has a textbook attached to it, and our book department then liaise with you as the family, and they are posted, they are shipped out to you so that you have them for the start of your course. On some occasions, especially if the location of our family might be somewhere a little bit tricky for the normal pathway, and they do have access to those books locally in some way, they might liaise with us and they might choose to get a couple of those books themselves. But on the whole, most people have the books sent to them. Christina, do you have anything from an admission side to add to that, or is that pretty much covered it?
Yeah, that's pretty much covered it. Thanks, Christina.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question we had in previously was, will I need to be available all day to supervise? I work at home, but will need to attend my own Zoom meetings.
So I can start with that one, and then Ruth might have additional things to add from a secondary perspective. From a primary perspective, for those children who are younger in age, then obviously we do reiterate and reinforce that this is a parent-led education. And so we do need parents or a trusted adult to be available to support their children at home. Obviously, the age of the child makes a big difference. So a lot more supervision is needed for our 5-year-olds and our 6-year-olds than perhaps for our 11-year-olds and our 10-year-olds. As children move through primary, they tend to grow in independence, and parents find that over a period of time that they can maybe give their child more freedom to work independently and carry out some of the tasks on their own. So it really does depend on the age of your child at primary, and also just the makeup of your child and what your child is like, but we do stress that at primary level it does need parent guidance and parent support for a child to be successful in their learning.
And then moving into secondary, as you can imagine, the lower secondary is quite a bridging area for students. If they've studied in primary, which as Christine's just explained, does require parental support for success. Lower secondary students are becoming more autonomous, they are becoming more independent, but we still say that the best and most successful homeschooling takes place when there is some parental support there in lower secondary, in terms of, simply talking through the work with the students. It's not necessarily leading it at this point, because they have developed those independent skills, but just getting the students to verbalize what they need to do so that they are really furthering their understanding. The development of students carries on as they move through the school. So by the time they reach A level, it is very much student-led, and IGCSE as well, because they've developed much more independence there. Again, I would always say to families that it's good to have a trusted adult on hand, those students can talk to them about the learning that they're doing. But once they get to the IGCSE and A level, we are expecting quite autonomous, independent learners.
Okay. Thanks both. Christina, I don't know if there's a question that you wanted to introduce that regarding universities.
Yeah, there's a question here about what percentage of your graduates signify interest in proceeding to university and then pass the entrance exam of the university of their choice. So, I mean, certainly a lot of the A-level students, they take the A-level to go on to university. It depends where they want to go to university. So obviously all universities have their own entry requirements and academic requirements. So it's important that you would check any specific university about what they would be particularly looking for and what entrance exams are required for the student to take. So it's hard to give a direct answer to this, but because there are so many universities that our students go on to. So yeah, if you can do that research at an early stage, that would probably be the best way to approach this.
Thanks, Christina. And you might like to answer the next one as well, actually. Are there any discounts for siblings?
Well, we do apply a sibling discount, but it depends if they qualify for the quantity discount. So we have, for example, if a student enrolls on 5 IGCSEs, then they will qualify for the quantity discount. So they wouldn't have an extra 10% on top of that for the sibling discount. So it depends what you are looking to enroll your child onto.
Okay.
But generally, yes, we do have a sibling discount, but yeah, it's not a straightforward yes or no kind of answer, I'm afraid. So if you'd like to put an inquiry in, that would be probably the best way to give you a better, more informed answer on that.
Thank you, Christina. My child is 4, but she knows all the basic material. Is age an issue for attending?
No, so I'll take that one. So as mentioned, no, it's not. Currently, I mentioned earlier that we have 2 new courses that are coming later this year, which is our maths and English for pre-primary, and typically a 4-year-old might be in that age bracket for those courses, but also as well, if your child is ready as a 4-year-old to start year 1, then your conversation with Becky for lower primary, the supervisor of course, as part of your inquiry process. So I would stress as well, the conversation with Becky and Joe is part of the inquiry process to see whether or not you then want to follow through and enroll. And I think that's quite important, because as part of the inquiry you're making, you get access to that expertise and that conversation, and Becky would be able to talk through the requirements for year 1, find out more about your child and where they currently are in their learning, and see if they have the foundation that's needed for the year 1 course.
Thank you, Christine. As we're running out of time, and I think most of all the questions now have been answered, or maybe there's another one popped in now. I'd like to go to one final question from the pre-submitted questions, and that was, how can I find out more information on how Wolsey Hall can help my child? Christina, would you like to answer that one, please?
So did you say Christine or Christina?
Sorry, Christina. Sorry.
Oh, me, sorry. Sorry, can you read the question again, Lynn?
How can I find out more information on how Wolsey Hall can help my child?
Well, I mean, everybody has a kind of unique case or reason for wanting to homeschool. So we have a dedicated admissions team, and part of the admissions process is to meet with all prospective families, and we'll go through the needs of your child. And so that's the best way really to engage more with Wolsey Hall and have a one-to-one conversation with one of the admissions members of the team. So we'd really welcome you to put in an inquiry in, and we can arrange a video call, a one-to-one video call. So that's part of the admissions process to make sure that you're confident about the courses that your child is enrolling in, and we'll obviously guide you to make the best choice for your child. And so yeah, I think that if you can all see the last slide, it obviously has our website address and the Inquire Now function as well. So yeah, we aim to reply to you within maximum 5 days. So if you submit today, then you should definitely get a reply, well, hopefully by Friday, if not early Monday, on a 5 working day turnaround time. So yeah, please do get in touch, and we'd be very happy to arrange a one-to-one call with any of you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Christina. So I think we are now out of time. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I'd like to extend a big thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the event as much as we have. We hope you found the session useful and it's given you a good understanding of homeschooling with Wolsey Hall. If you've any further questions, then please do go to our website and submit an inquiry form, and our admissions team will be delighted to help you. So once again, it just a big thank you to everyone, and it just leaves me to say have a great rest of day, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.